Hello, this is a presentation through which I tried to explore my connection with the Images Alberta Camera Club since 2009 and how this has helped me as a photographic artist. I moved to Edmonton in 2008, purchased my first digital SLR, and immediately wanted to connect with fellow photographers. I found IACC through a couple of friends and joined the club. In the first year as a club member, I was just learning to use my new camera, and exploring the city. I was capturing anything that was around me. And a lot of images I was capturing were horribly wrong. I was entering the competitions in the club and none of these images was being awarded anything. I was getting frustrated. This is when I seriously started learning from the club members. I started following their suggestions, even started copying the styles of some of the more experienced club members. My first active involvement with the club was to attend an outing somewhere near Leduc. I still remember that only 2 of us showed up for that outing. But it was fun nevertheless. In 2010, a bunch of us went to downtown Edmonton for an outing, Downtown Reflections. I still remember I received a lot of helpful tips and guidance from more experienced club members. In the same year, I went to visit New York. This was an important trip for me as a photographer. I used a lot of tips and tricks that I learned in the club. And this is an image I captured during the same trip. This was my first photograph that won a prize in one of the monthly club competitions. By 2011, I was regular in attending the club outings. Ukrainian Village, Aldon Salvagiard. I was trying to attend to all of them and was trying to be creative. The club competition topics were particularly pushing me to be more creative regularly. I must acknowledge I was getting a lot of support from my wife, Paramita. Around this time, I gathered more lenses. My friends at the club helped me choose the right fit for my needs and budget. This year, 2011, was a particularly important year for me. I volunteered as a photographer at the MS Bike Tour. I also won the first prize at the annual MacPain Camera Photo Trade Show. And I also went for a road trip with a few friends to the Canadian Arctic. Had some amazing experiences, both as a tourist and as a photographer. With all this learning, both in the club and outside, I was gaining more confidence as a photographer. I started capturing much more diverse subjects than I did previously. Around this time, I realized that I was enjoying processing the images in monochrome. Be it indoor or outdoor, I started envisioning my images in black and white. At the same time, I was being exposed to different imagery processes at the club. This primed me to experiment more with different subjects and different techniques. While I was experimenting with all these variations, I also realized that I have a natural tendency towards simplicity. I found them in my work that I was sharing with my fellow club members. In this journey of self-discovery, during my travels or in the club outings, I was often emulating the styles and techniques that I had encountered at the club. Night photography, street photography, everywhere. In 2014, I attended a club workshop on Lightroom by Barry Hedrick. This was extremely helpful and changed my workflow altogether. I also got a new full-frame camera and some other equipment. About this time, I also signed up for two special interest groups, portraiture and black and white. The portraiture SIG, led by Greg Campbell, is where I started learning about studio lighting. If I remember this correctly, David Aldana was the leader of the black and white SIG. This was extremely inspiring, especially for me, as I was already leaning towards monochrome. With all these helpful inspirations, I started my first commercial photographic works in the same year. I was trying to utilize all that I was learning during the SIGs, particularly the portraiture SIG. Another club activity that helped me immensely was the photo walks. We did not have any regular schedules for these, but some of us used to just go out sometimes. These used to be fun and creative at the same time. The influence of the club SIG was evident in my work. I was doing a lot more portrait sessions, both commercially as well as for friends. But I think the main influence was on my studio work. By this time, I was working regularly with models and was exploring a lot with traditional and experimental light setups. I should also mention here, working with models and the etiquette around it were also something I learned from the club members. And I also learned a lot from the models themselves. By 2015, since I was regularly working with models and also was being exposed to the club members' work and editing techniques, I started exploring another aspect of photography, composites. I think 2015 was the year when I attended my favorite outing, Alden Salvage Yard, with more maturity than in previous years. That specific year, I focused on something I had never explored previously, abstract. I loved abstract. So much so, in the next year, 2016, I created a whole set on abstract lighting reflected on the restored antique cars at Alden, all done in monochrome. Club outings have always inspired me to do new things. I explored new subjects, I tried new editing techniques, I even experimented with new compositions. But my experiments did not stop there. I converted an old digital camera to a full spectrum one myself. And more importantly, I restarted my journey as a film photographer. The black and white SIG was also pushing me to take a deep dive into monochrome photography. I was learning the importance of lighting and editing in monochrome photography. Since by now I was quite confidently working in the realm of fine art photography, thanks to the two SIGs I was part of, I was ready to exhibit my fine art works at exhibitions. And the club gave me the right opportunities. At the exhibitions that used to be organized by the club at Jake's Gallery, downtown Edmonton. By now, I was utilizing a lot of my photographic interests at the same time. I started using film cameras for my black and white fine art photography. I was loving the process. In 2017, I traveled to Nova Scotia PEI and also to Yellowstone National Park with photographic interests. And I did not carry my digital camera. I shot everything with either a 35mm or a medium format film camera. I did the same for my favorite club outing at Alton. I was carrying a Hasselblad and a Mamiya, one with a black and white film and the other with a color film roll. When we went to the Elk Island National Park, I again used the same two cameras, but this time I shot everything in color. But not only the club outings, I also explored some hidden gems in the city with tips from the club members. If you look closely, Edmonton is really a beautiful city. Another club outing I will never forget was the 2018 Silver Skate Festival. I remember David Aldana organized it. It was the first time I was seriously exploring the panning shots. With the encouragement from the senior club members, I continued working with films. I used film cameras for my in-studio and outdoor portrait works. At the club outing to the Glow Edmonton, I got the opportunity to explore film photography in low light situations. It was a great event and also a great learning process. 2019 was the year when the club introduced the photo essay category at the annual competition. It was new to me, but I took the challenge. This entry won the first prize that year. I remember I took just one lens to this outing, as I often do for an extra challenge. But I chose the right one, a 105mm macro. I rarely get the opportunity to try my hand at macro photography. Another of my favorite outings is the Bruderheim Model T race. I again tried my hand at a panning shot. This image was one of the first images I have ever sold at any exhibition. And all along, I continued my fine art works with all the knowledge that I gathered from the Club 6 and from other members. 2020 brought us some very interesting opportunities. We all had to switch our ways. I took this opportunity to focus on my infrared experimentations. We did have an outing to the Aldon, as it was outdoors. I shot everything with infrared. The club meetings were, however, all online. I also had more time to use advanced editing techniques to re-edit my old photographs. Our program chair, Gary Ford, used to come up with some very unique challenges for us. I created this set for one of his challenges. Loved the process. Early in 2021, the club asked me to talk about my camera collection. It was very interesting for me, particularly because I got some of these cameras from senior club members. And I was using most of these cameras to pursue my interest in film photography during this time of social distancing. I even created a video slideshow for the 2022 annual competition with some of the images that I had captured with my film camera during the pandemic. If time permits, I will play it later. But not only film cameras. I continued working with black and white photography on digital format as well. Here are some images that I captured in 2022. I entered some of these in the annual club competition. Another influence of the discussions that I was having with the club members was in the photo set or series. I followed some valuable suggestions from the members and achieved some very satisfactory results with some of my series. Several years ago, there was a presentation at the club on the cyanotype printing technique. Since then, I have been interested in it. In 2023, I started working on this technique. Visiting the Ukrainian Cultural Heritage Village in winter with the club used to be another of my favorite outings. Though now we cannot go here in winter, visiting this place always reminds me of those outings. The influence and the challenges at the black and white SIG pushed me to edit complete travel sets in monochrome. Here is one such set from California. Intentional camera movement, or ICM, is another technique that I was exposed to at the club. I'm still trying to master this technique. One of the club members was selling a shop-converted infrared camera. I purchased it from him. Here are some images that I captured with this amazing equipment. When I went back to Bruderheim last year with the club, I recognized the driver whom I captured 5 years ago. It was such a wonderful full circle experience. A new outing that I thoroughly enjoyed this year was at the Strathcona Antique Mall. Again, I took just one lens, a lens baby. These opportunities are priceless. I love to challenge myself with new tasks, new techniques, new subjects. The club have been helping me with more and more challenges for the last 16 years, and I am loving it. This year I signed up for 2-6, drone videography and abstract. I have some personal goals as well, and I am sure the club is ready to push my boundaries even beyond my imagination. The world of photography is really a magical one. I am ready to explore it further with the Images Alberta Camera Club. Thank you, and let's go exploring.